All right.
In the heart of Albert Nicaud and Sunseri.
Good morning, Doug Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. We are all things Eagles. You can call us 260-1870 or text us at the Open Heart Talk and Text line. Um, and we straight there, calling in the studio.
Sounds like we have technical difficulties.
Yes, I'm gonna. Is that better, Colin? Are we on? All right,
Yeah. It sounds like we're having some technical difficulties. Ever since COVID, we're no longer at the station, and so we end up using a board that Doug keeps with him, and been having some difficulty with the board lately. I know my sister indicated last week I was off, but she said she watched Doug and Michelle on Facebook and was unable to hear them very well. Or at all. So trying to work the bugs out. In the meantime, I think we might just
all right.
just do it on the phone and turn off the volume on the Facebook feed. But
all right, how's that? All right, I'm back. All right, I'm back now. I'm back. All right. There you go. How we're doing now?
I can hear you, Doug. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're good. We're good. All right, where to start? All things legal. I'm actually in Baton Rouge right now. We covered the LSU. Well, covered. We went to the LSU Arkansas game. Went to game one and then watched game two at a friend's house. So we were LSU baseball yesterday, and we are. So I'd actually set up in Baton Rouge, but obviously it doesn't work. But did you watch Arkansas Alabama game, Albert, or were you watching NCAA?
You mean the Arkansas LSU game?
I mean, yeah, I'm saying Arkansas. It's one and the same in some ways, but
I did watch it because the Final Four didn't come up at 5, so NCAA. So I did watch it, and I got to tell you, Doug, I know about as much about baseball as you know about hieroglyphics, but I watched this team yesterday, and they were pretty amazing. The bats got going. They played defense. This is the number 5 team in the country they were playing, and they dominated. Guys got up and they would get hits, and I can't tell you how many times the bases were loaded. It was just these guys are pretty good. Is this the best LSU baseball team that you can recall?
Talent-wise, yes. Maybe pitching-wise, no, but batting-wise, yes. Now, I will say this in a very bold statement. If you watch Dylan Cruz, he's probably the best baseball player to ever go through the LSU program, which is saying something. And I was trying to explain to Michelle, when Dylan Cruz was batting .538 yesterday after 21 games, and I was trying to explain that Ted Williams became immortalized because he bat one season over 400. And to bat 500, when you go 3 for 6 in a game and your batting average goes down, is just incredible. But he is just by far, he has absolutely no weakness. In fact, we're talking about, I think he got 2 or 3 hits by just ground balls between the second baseman and shortstop, which when they come off the bat, they seem routine. But he hits the ball so hard and so solid that it gets through. But if for nothing else, if you want to watch this year's team, they are probably as talented batting wise. Now, pitching wise, they got probably the best pitcher since Ben McDonald with Paul Skeens. but I think it's to be seen how the rest of the pitching staff's going to fare out, which they're very, very good. But it was just relentless. And the Arkansas pitchers could not even. Who do you pitch around? I mean, you just have your eighth batter is there's just nobody to pitch around. Your eighth batter's batting 300, hitting home runs. Your ninth batter. So and actually the game. Mhm.
Yeah, in terms of the pitching and whatever. I mean, I'm sorry, the hitting. Is there a new hitting coach? Is there something, or we just managed to get really talented hitter?
Well, we got Tommy White from North Carolina State, who was the leading home run hitter last year through the transfer portal. We have Dylan Cruz.
Right.
We have Trey Morgan III, who is from Brother Martin, who is probably looks a lot like a Rod Carew, Wade Boggs, George Brett type of line drive hitter. He had a home run yesterday. Gavin Dugas, who's already had 6 or 7 home runs, he leads off. I think he just.
The batting coach is the same guy from last year.
The batting coach is, but with LSU's pitching coach, which is the difference, is a coach named Wes Gardner. And he was the pitching coach for the Minnesota Twins, and they offered him the job last July. And he resigned in the middle of the year for the Minnesota Twins to become the LSU pitching coach. So I think on the batting side, they just talented. A couple players. Jordan Thompson's got another year under his belt. They have a catcher, Neal, who can hit. Milazzo was a great defensive catcher last year, but he didn't hit so well. And they just don't have any apparent weakness. They have a fielder, Pearson, he's going to be a 350 hitter. They got guys, Cade Beloso, he's in his 5th year in the program. He's in and out the lineup. He would start full time at any other SEC school. So they're just deep and they're just talented. And it's actually the game they should have won the game on Friday. They had Paul Skeens, their pitcher who throws 101 miles an hour. They were 1-1 in the 8th, 9th, and 10th inning, and they had chances to win in the 8th and 9th, and then in the 10th, I think the 10th or 11th inning, Arkansas ended up getting 8 runs. The LSU just fell apart, and it was 9-1. But it was if you're a casual LSU baseball fan, this is the year to watch it. They still have to go out and play, and just like on Friday, they lost, and they still have to go out and play. But by far, they're the most talented team that's out, probably rolled through Baton Rouge. So, but we also watched. Did you watch the Florida Atlantic game versus Kansas State?
Yeah. I think Noel. Let me tell you, I watched Noel last week, and he's point guard for Kansas State. Probably one of the best point guard, field general, taking control of a game that I've seen in a long, long time. The kid did everything right. This week, it looks like he tried to do a little too much. I think they were a little more prepared for it, and so they doubled him a little bit. He made a few mistakes. He just didn't look as polished and as in control. Because, like I said, I think he was trying to do too much. Maybe had some of the light shining on him, and but man, what a fun game to watch! It went down to the wire, and the point guard for Florida Atlantic was awesome too. I mean, it was just really a good game to watch. They were both very evenly matched. They both had a big guy in the middle. They both shot the ball well. They scored in the 70s. So, yeah, it was fun. Of course, my bracket's been busted since week 1. But I still have Texas. I have Texas winning it all, which there's a lot of men on that team. Some of the other teams have college students. This Texas team, there's a lot of guys who don't go to the next level from that team. They're pretty solid.
Well,
it's going to be interesting to
yeah. Well, because what I'm seeing again is you having the blue bloods who have the one and done players who come in there, play 1 or 2 years, and they're out, versus the mid majors that have a team together that's been playing for 3 or 4 years. And
San Diego State.
right, and what's happening is when you get down to the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, the team that's been playing together for 3 or 4 years holds it together, and the team that hasn't is the ones that at times fall apart.
Yeah, I agree. And San Diego State's that type of team. They don't have a ton of size. Man, they play great defense. They hustle. They don't make a lot of mistakes. And it's just been fun to watch. I got to tell you, I've watched a lot of it. And, it's my favorite time of year.
But who would have thought that on one side of the Final Four you would have San Diego State? I mean, San Diego State or Creighton and Florida Atlantic. I mean,
Right.
that's just on. And I think also too, it seems that come with that dynamic of the team, the mid majors playing for 3 or 4 years, and a lot of the blue bloods having teams that one and done, one and done, one and done. You have parity now,
Yeah.
and really the seedings don't make a big difference anymore because they don't have a lot of significance because if you're a 3 or 4 seed, I mean you got as much chance of being knocked off by a 14 seed or a 13 seed as you do otherwise. So it seems like there's a lot of parity. Now, did you watch the LSU women's game Friday night?
I did not.
Well,
I did not.
well, there's two aspects of it. What Kim Mulkey's outfit is. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. Actually, my wife Mary sent that it was a Facebook post or some kind of post where she said how, in Louisiana we dress fleshy and we have a lot of fun. We like to party and so yeah, I did see her flashy outfit. It's fun. I think it takes a little bit away from the players. We'll give it back to them. They'll be the center of attention. But it seems to be working.
Here's my theory, and I think it's very strategic. Is that we know Kim Mulkey from being an Olympian, from at Baylor, for winning winning national championship at Louisiana Tech, being from Ponchatoula. We know her. But if you're a 17-year-old basketball player, you don't know all that about her. You don't know that past. You just don't.
Right.
And so if she goes and walks into someone's home in Oregon or a recruit or in Minnesota or Montana or wherever, they're going to know who she is. They're going to know that she is she sort of trademarked herself. It's like each game, especially in the NCAAs, people are looking, what is she going to wear this game? What is she going to wear this game? Much like the Bear Bryant fedora or, Wim Sanderson, the old Alabama coach, used to wear that plaid jacket. And so I think it's like a trademark to give her an extra level of recognition, for potential recruits. I think it's very strategic.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw at the end of the game.
At 6 o'clock, yeah. They play tonight at 6
Yeah.
o'clock in the Elite Eight, and so of course wishing the best.
Well, at the end of the game against Utah, they had taken the lead on 2 free throws with I think 10 seconds to go, and Utah took the ball down. They were down by 1, and LSU fouled the Utah shooter with about I think 2.7 seconds left, maybe or 4 seconds left, and she had 2 shots. She makes one of the free throws. She ties the game. She makes 2. They go ahead, probably for good because LSU would have had an opportunity to score again, but it would have been, had to get a shot off at the buzzer. But on the first free throw, she airballs it. You see, I mean, she airballed it. And even though I was an LSU fan, my heart sunk for the young lady because it was just horrible. And then the second shot, she had missed, and LSU rebounded, sank 2 more free throws, and won the game. But I just, when she airballed that first free throw, I just said, "Oh my goodness!" It was just, But anyway, you need those kind of breaks to, to win, to get as far as they are. So they are now. Here's the other thing: they're playing Miami, which was a 9th seed, and so they're not, a lot. Usually in the Elite Eight, just like in men's, you'd think you'd be playing a number 1 or 2 seed, but they've all been knocked out. So we'll see. I mean, it looks very good for Final Four. We're all waiting to see what she wears. So I don't know how she's going to top this one. Yeah. All right, let's take a break. All right, Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
So, what do you want from your news? I think news should be completely honest, like it always should be. In a news nation, I look for credibility and succinctness is stuff that affects us. The truth, I believe, is a big element. Investing in thinking about the truth, and we deliver honest and trustworthy and have the people in mind. They know what they're doing, they have the experts. We don't. Big news, talk, sports leader. It is real, it is honest. WWL. Bobby Katie Cannon here. The tournament is heating up, and there's no better place to get in on action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now FanDuel is giving new customers a no sweat. Okay, you got that up to $1,000.
Yeah. How do I sound?
Joe from Baton Rouge. Joe, I don't believe his real name, who has a president of a company that him and others trying to out or even alcoholic and they don't have any reason him anymore. He wants to know how to get someone. His literal question was after he elaborated was how to get someone out of a hole.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I got you. Okay. Joe from Baton Rouge. Gotcha.
You gonna paint your home yourself? I don't think so. Gonna pay someone else every few years to paint? That makes no sense. The solution? Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary permanent ceramic coating that comes with a 25-year warranty. Online with Rhino Shield, you'll never have to paint your home again. Guaranteed. It's perfect for wood, brick, When you ask people here what's the one thing that makes Diamond Direct their favorite jeweler, for some, it's the unbeatable price. We get it through our direct importer, no middleman connections. The foundation of our business since day one. For others, it's uncompromising quality. From hand-selected diamonds to hand-crafted designer rings, only the best of the best. Some people got selection on the top of their list, and Diamond Direct offers up to 30 times the units expected from a typical retailer. For some, it's a luxurious showroom with Diamond experts who genuinely care about your experience and happiness, and who are empowered to do whatever it takes for you. Others rave about Diamond Direct's unmatched quarantine and guarantee, and an extraordinary 110% diamond upgrade bonus. The most often answer we get when asking what makes Diamond Direct stand out, it's not one thing, it's everything. Diamond Direct, luxury, choices, and confidence. Get direct in showroom hours and more at diamondsdirect.com. Right in all. We were in Times Square. You can still see the bubble lights and shop I got a snow globe because at this little shop, I collect them. Then we got this light. It's super. When everyone's vacation sounds the same, it's time for something different. Go on a real vacation. Go RVing. Learn more at GoRVing.com. Dell Technologies semi-annual sale starts now with limited quantity deals on select advanced PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Save on select Nostro laptops with built-in security features and select Latitude laptops with enhanced privacy, collaboration, and connectivity. Save on select essential accessories plus free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call it Dell Technologies Advisor at 877 Ask Dell. That's 877 Ask Dell. Made legal on WWL-DMFF.com and the Odyssey app. Connect with Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on the Oakland Art Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, live from Baton Rouge, home from the sweep of LSU and Arkansas yesterday. Let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Joe. He's got an interesting question about an employee. Hey, Joe, you on All Things Legal. What can we do for you, brother?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you good, brother.
Hey, okay, thanks. Hey, I've got a brother. It's a family corporation, a small corporation, and my brother is president of the corporation, and just recently, going through deposits in our corporation, we found out that he is not depositing any cash, and he's taking the cash.
Okay.
Now, as of now, he does not know that we found this out.
Is he a
kind of a quandary of which way we should go with this.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Is he an owner or an employee? Or both?
We own.
Okay, you own? All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. And so he's taking cash and you don't know what to do. Well, there's two components to this. Is first of all, in his component as an employee and his component as an owner. If you can, does he have an employment contract with your company? And how many? What percentage of owner? What percentage of?
Yeah, do y'all have an operating agreement? And do y'all each own a third? How does it work? There's 5 of them. So, and all of them, so you got no.
Yeah. Okay.
All 5 of you have equal ownership. Yeah. Okay. So, is there an operating agreement? A written operating agreement? Yes. Okay. So, what does and your brother is the manager, or is he the? What position? On paper, he's the president, but he doesn't work there. And what we're scared of is, I don't think we would ask you for the cash, a considerable amount of cash. I don't think we'd ask for the cash. But what we're scared of is he's also an alcoholic. I didn't tell you that. We're scared that he would get in a wreck and they would come back on us. And we also stand to lose everything. There's a few issues with that. They can only come back on him in terms of his share of the ownership. What you can do is I would call a meeting, go read your operating agreement, see what the process is for calling an official meeting, put it in writing, do what you have to do. Have a meeting and say, look, we found out about this. We're going to vote you out as president. We're going to take away your ability. We're going to go to the bank and say, look, here's a company resolution denying him access to any banking accounts, any banking records, anything. And then, say, look, we didn't want to do this. You brought this upon yourself. And oh, by the way, when we have distributions in the future, we're going to look at the cash for the last few years to confirm, about on average how much cash was collected by the company. And if that's not in the account now, that's going to be, your distributions are going to be reduced by that. And so, I think think it will help protect him from himself and protect the company from his actions.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So that's the best way to handle it. And just have someone else step up and go back and look at the company books and records and, investigate where you are and what needs to be done, some sort of accounting. And then, move forward from there and let someone else run the company.
Okay.
So,
So if we were to get in a wreck before we get, if we not able to get to the finish, they wouldn't come back on the company.
The only thing they could do is, if there's some sort of judgment against him, is seize his interest in the company. And I'm guessing that if that happens, as a judgment creditor, they would be what's called an assignee of those interests. So they would have no rights to look at the books and records. They would have no rights to do anything, and they would only have a right to receive, their share of the distributions of the profit. So they would only be assigned to his interest in the company, not the entire company.
Okay. All right. If we were to get an attorney, what type of attorney should we get?
Someone familiar with business law, someone that's familiar with limited liability companies, if that's what this is, or corporations, if that's what that is. Somebody that knows the proper steps to take, and again, they can interpret that operating agreement. And I don't know if you have a lawyer set it all up, but perhaps you can go back to that lawyer and say, hey, look, this is what's going on, what do we do?
yeah.
Question, do we need to get a lawyer involved?
Well, maybe first, my guess is, from what I know of alcoholics, they're going to deny it. They're going to, call you a bunch of liars. They're going to,
We already know that.
and all that sort of thing. So, he may, in fact, go get a lawyer. But beyond that, there's no reason to. I mean, I think it can all be handled through a meeting, and listen, I think it's going to depend a lot on how it's approached, how you guys handle it. If you go in there like gangbusters and calling a liar and do all this stuff, of course you're going to get defensive. But if you go in there and say, hey, look, we discovered this and we have, we don't want you to be tempted to do this again. So here's what we want to do. And then y'all call it to a vote, you put it in writing, bring it, everybody sign it, keep them sign it, that's okay. The majority will have signed it, bring them your operating agreement, say, here we go, we got a majority vote out, and we don't want to have any banking authority.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've encountered this before, and with probably a good way of doing this, and you might want to consult someone who is a counselor in drug addiction or alcohol addiction, is do something called an intervention. And basically, what you do is you call a meeting, and the partners will just talk from their personal experience, how they're concerned for them, and how it's affected their business. And then basically it's got to be orchestrated. And this is the concept is to say, hey, we want you to get help. If you get help, we'll welcome you, and you do all you're supposed to. We'll welcome you back in the business. But if you don't participate, we're going to vote you out. We're going to bench you. You can also vote out, if you bench him, you could actually cut his salary. Now you'd have to deal with his gains or losses at the end of the year, but you could actually vote to cut his salary and say, basically, this is what you got to do. A, you get well and you get back in the company, or B, you're out or you're on the bench. But there's a very specific technique that often people utilize for families and friends when they do this intervention. It's very orchestrated. It's you're instructed on how to present the information in a way that's not necessarily condemning him, but how it affects you or how it affects your business. And this is why you're concerned and you want to get him help. But a lot of times in those type of situations, you have to give them that opportunity. You try to give them the opportunity to get help. And if they don't, you say, well, we're sorry, we have voting control of this company. We're going to bench you. We're going to lock you out of the, of a lot of the day-to-day, operations until you get help. So there's a lot of substance abuse counselors who do interventions in these type of situations, and it would be very, very helpful in this kind of situation to get your brother help.
Okay. All right. I sure appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thanks for the call.
All right, man.
All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal on WWLAM FM, Odyssey.com. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
WWL, home of your New Orleans Saints. Always live on the free Odyssey app. So we were in Times Square taking selfies with all the lights. I bought a chocolate bar. I bought a snow globe at this little shop. I collect those. Then we grabbed a slice. It's super hot. It smelled a bit funky outside. They don't have alleys. They don't have alleys, but they're going to have people. Lots of people. When everyone's vacation sounds the same, it's time for something different. Go on a real vacation. Go RVing. Learn more at GoRVing.com. It's March, and you know what that means. Taxes are almost due. Jackson Hewitt can help you win tax season. This is the sound of your maximum tax refund. The sound of getting 50% off tax prep. The sound of many of our competitors' prices going up. And the sound of getting to your nearest Jackson Hewitt. Hurry in for 50% off tax prep before this offer expires April 9th. Limited time offer. Plan 5 will be participating location. $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/tickets for terms. Take your shot, sure, at MGM's March matchups and instantly receive $200 in bonus bets. Simply sign up using the bonus code MIGHTB200 and place a $10 bet on any college basketball tournament game. Win or lose, and $200 in bonus bets will be added to your account right away. Plus, you'll discover a wide variety of parlay selection features, daily boosted odds specials, and much more. Download the BetMGM app today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly and offer resources to help you make appropriate choices. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Louisiana only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with Samstown Shreveport Casino. Hi, Joel Myers, your vice president of Gail Benson Automotive family of dealerships. Cadillac of New Orleans and Veterans. Chevrolet in Canada. Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans on Veterans Boulevard. And a new Mercedes. Okay, so I went ahead and I separated the photo lens that you guys are on, and then I just wanted you to talk to me and then cut the other one out entirely. Quickly, it makes it a little easier for y'all to talk over the air. So the other you look through our board and you get a caller. I have to be back a little bit.
Okay.
Buying a new or pre-owned vehicle. A service department staff with seasoned professionals to keep you and your vehicle. We're not doing at the moment, so I thought it might well. No hassle buying experience. It just went up a year back. I'll just have to do a little damn plan.
Okay.
Cadillac of New Orleans, Chevrolet, Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans, and a new Mercedes-Benz Sprinter Van Center. 18 proud members of the Gail Benson Automotive family of dealerships. Is your hurricane highway insurance claim with your public adjuster stuck in neutral going nowhere? Unfortunately, public adjusters do not have any enforcement powers to hold your insurance company accountable for lower law. Many insurance companies will not deal with your hurricane highway insurance claim until a lawsuit is filed in court. We can help move your hurricane highway insurance claim across the finish line, even if you hire a public adjuster. Call me, Doug Sunseri, longtime WWL radio host, attorney at Nicaud Sunseri Law Firm in Benry, Vanderbilt, at 504-837-1304. Are you a business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes no sense, literally. Focus on what you do well, like growing your business. Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, this is Thomas Montes. Accounting Services Unlimited is insanely affordable and will come to you. Call for a free quote. Accounting Services Unlimited, 717-6253. That's 717-6253. Or visit us at asu-llc.com.
Southern Coins and Precious Metals wants your gold and silver. See today's prices at southerncoins.com. If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax.
We got no callers at the moment. We're coming back in about 30 seconds.
If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-514-1026 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security checks. Call 800-514-1026 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-514-1026.
Now, more All Things Legal, underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nicaud and Doug Sunseri. Back to WL.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. All right, Albert, I committed radio malpractice. I had said Kim Mulkey was at Ponchatoula High School, but she was actually at the Hammond High Purple Tornadoes, won 4 state championships, and she went to Newsom, I believe, junior high in Hammond. So I wanted to correct that mistake. So my this. Obviously only one dance. So yes.
They ended up losing the first game. Had they won that game, I think they'd be like number 8. Because it's so tight now, I think they're number 11.
No, they're number 9 tonight. They're 9 right now.
Yeah, that's the way it's like. So, they're in the play-in game still, but with a few more games, I know that's a tough road schedule they got coming right now, but they, handled the Clippers pretty well last night.
Well,
so,
yeah.
They can keep rolling.
Well, they were 21 for 34 from the 3-point line, and they were just raining threes. They had one of those games, and I mean they beat them by 21 points, but they're 37 and 37. They have 8 games left. I believe there's only a game or a game and a half between the Pelicans and the 6th spot. If you get in the 6th spot, you don't play. You bypass the play-in.
Right. Well, yeah, 6, 7, or 8 you bypass the play-in.
No. Well, you got.
Right, 7 and 8 play-in. Yeah, 7 and 8 play-in.
Right.
But they have 37 wins, and then so do the Lakers have 37 wins, and so does I'm just gonna get the other teams. The 3 teams that have 37 wins, and we're 9, Lakers are 8, the other team's number 7, and so they've got us speaking and playing well right now.
Yeah, they're a game and a half behind Golden State, which is the number 6, who would keep you out of the play-in. They're tied with Minnesota, the Lakers, and Minnesota's 37-37. The Lakers are 37-37. And then Oklahoma is a half game behind them. And you got Dallas, which is fading right now. And Utah is fading a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. So you basically have the ability to get into the sixth. Actually, they're only a game and a half away from the 2 games away from the 4th spot with Phoenix.
Right. Yeah. No, it's packed tight in there. If they make a nice little run right here, they can maybe have a week off and heal and kind of get it together. You want to say give Zion some time to maybe get in the game by the playoffs, but
I don't.
who knows?
I'm gonna guess.
You know.
I'm gonna guess that Zion is shelved for the rest of the year. I don't think he's. I think he may be done. And
Yeah.
so I just don't. When first of all, when the Pelicans say we're going to reevaluate in 2 weeks, it means you don't even start counting then. And then after the reevaluation, if they tell you 2 weeks, you double or triple it. So and the other problem too is if he does come back, okay, for the playoffs, he's not going to be in basketball shape. He's going to be more prone to injury again because he's not going to be in basketball shape. That do you really want to risk it? And he's just going to have to do something totally. He's just got to do things differently because whatever he's doing to take care of his particular body type is not working. And whether it's because he's a young kid and he's not serious as he needs to be about it or whatever, who knows? But he has to do something differently in taking care of his body. And I think a certain part of it's bad luck, and I think the other part is and people don't want to tell him that it's on him. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah, and I think you need to find a right trainer that's going to train him properly. One thing I had hamstring issues, but one of the issues, one thing they told me was that you do a lot of squats and a lot of things to work your quads. If you do that, you need to work your hamstrings on the back end. So you need to do exercises to keep that strong so those muscles are balanced. Otherwise, your quads are going to want to do one thing and your hamstring's not going to be able to keep up and you're going to pull it and tweak it. And so that's the same with all of your muscles, whether it's your biceps and triceps, your hamstrings, your quads. If you want balance and you want that strength to be balanced.
I think it's probably his maturity he's got to be more mature. And I think this is my opinion. I think the Pelicans want to tell him that, but they're all walking on eggshells because they got $230 million invested in him. But somebody's got to get in there and say, no more messing. You got to take this to another level. And you need to really, we invested $230 million in you. You have to live that 24/7. It's not, it's not when I'm hurt, I rehab and then, let it go after that. This is 24/7. And personally, I don't think he has that. And I think the Pelicans have a decision to make whether they want to market him while he still has value. Because if he plays another year and he's hurt again, then his value goes way, way, way down. Like like a Boogie Cousins or so I think they're in a tough spot, but I think he needs a revelation that what he's doing is not working, and he's going to have to do things very differently if he wants to be a pro. But that's just my opinion. Yeah. Okay, and I have a question for you on the other end about a hurricane question. All right, Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
WWL, home of the LSU Fighting Tigers. Always live on the free Odyssey app. WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier Injury Lawyers. Call 504-444-4444. Non-attorney spokesperson, Chad Dudley, New Orleans.
you say that you were going to go to the SEC tournament this year, or Omaha? Like, you're going to go to
I tentatively plan on going if they go.
Absolutely beautiful pair of diamond stud earrings today. And like, they treated me. I mentioned to you that obviously we both know the SEC tournament is held in Birmingham.
Yes.
I told you that the high school that I went to for years is a stone's throw away from the stadium in which they host the SEC tournament.
The Hoover Met? You live by the Hoover? You went to school by the Hoover Met? Yeah. Yeah. My youngest went to Sanford for a year. Yeah. Well, yeah. So we she's at LSU now, but she started out at Sanford. Yeah.
Imagine, just, think of your happy place. This is my happy place. You get out of school, it's the last day of school for the semester, your summer break. You get out at like 11 a.m., you finish your exam, and you drive not less than a mile and spend the next 10 hours at home.
Yeah. And watching the best college baseball. Absolutely. Sure. Well, it's always Memorial Day weekend, I think.
Are you tech ready?
Or
we always, for some reason, and maybe they knew this, but we would always get out right at the start of the tournament.
Right.
We would get out for the summer, and then you could just go to games all day.
And it's almost harder to win the SEC tournament than the College World Series. It's as tough to win the SEC tournament in baseball as it is the College World Series.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I don't know. I'm excited because this is the first time that here's our secret. I can think of that. And recently LSU is not looking like they'll win it, they're looking like they'll fleek out.
Yeah.
Much that we do some crazy things.
I think they'll be like 22-8 in the SEC. They actually play Tennessee this weekend.
Yeah, I know. We're covering it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm covering the Thursday night game.
Harry starter set with the 5-blade razor.
And there's no love lost between LSU and Tennessee.
Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout.
Yeah, I can see that. We'll do the normal song and dance. We'll just come back with some music.
Oh, how long are we going to have?
You'll have a lot of time, which is good. Because I know you want to.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you think your question's going to warrant.
Yeah.
Conversation, if you want to push back,
I think I can go 5 minutes with it. Okay. Do we don't have any callers?
We don't have any callers right now.
Yeah.
We'll come back now.
Okay.
You can take it away whenever.
Hey, we're back. Sunseri and Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. All right, Albert, I have a Hurricane Ida insurance question for you. All right, there's certain insurance policies that state that we're only going to cover water damage from a storm-created opening. And you have some homes that are saturated on the inside, but the insurance company comes back and says, the water got in, but it wasn't through a storm-created opening, so therefore we're not going to cover it. What would be your response to that?
Well, you have to start with the concept that the policy is the law between the parties, right? You don't have a whole lot of say so in negotiating what that says. But at the same time, that is the language, and that's the language you have to overcome. So, if you have a gap under your front door, that's not sealed properly, and there's a wind-driven rain that's blown into it, then the insurance companies are saying, that's not part of our deal. We don't cover that. You should have, had a gasket there, or some sort of floor sweep or something to prevent the water from coming in. And so that's the problem you run into a lot of times with windows in particular. They have these most people these days have some sort of aluminum vinyl, double insulated glass windows. And so, you'll have a storm and all of a sudden see, staining around the window sills and everything else after the storm occurs. And so there is a phenomenon that occurs when the barometric pressure gets kind of low, the seals tighten up, and so they tend to contract, which
Okay.
how the windows work and the windows seal.
All right.
I don't know, we get close to a break, but that's one of the issues.
Yeah,
one of the responses you can get.
I tell you what, we got about 15 seconds before network news and local news. On the other side of the hour, we'll sort of expand on a little bit about that, because that's sort of an issue for a lot of these cases that are not settled yet. So we'll be back, all things legal. Stay tuned for national news, local news. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. See you then.
News Talk Sports Leader. WWL New Orleans, WWLFM HD110 New Orleans. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. FEMA is in Mississippi today to survey tornado damage as emergency workers continue digging through debris for possible survivors. CBS's Christian Benavides has the latest.
Drone footage above Mississippi shows part of a trail of tornado damage that spans over 100 miles. On the ground, residents like Renaya Pope of Rolling Fork are taking stock of the devastation.
I have so many family members, friends, memories that have been destroyed.
The town of Rolling Fork was among those hardest hit when the tornado tore through Friday, flipping over cars, uprooting trees, and reducing homes and businesses to rubble.
At least 25 people have died in Mississippi. One person died in Alabama. At least 3 people have now died in a massive explosion at the Palmer Chocolate Factory in West Reading, Pennsylvania. Jean Long lives nearby.
My street was all filled with UGI trucks and ambulances and the fire engines because they're working on this all night.
Crews there are still looking for 4 missing people. Congress is still considering a ban on TikTok here in the U.S. over security and data concerns. Virginia Senator Mark Warner.
One of the things that may lead to a ban is the Chinese Communist Party has said they felt like the algorithm, the source code that resides in Beijing is so important that they'd rather see a ban than give that source code up to be placed in a third country.
You can hear that entire interview this morning on Face the Nation. A fun welcome for Vice President Kamala Harris in Ghana today, where she's kicking off a week-long trip to Africa. She's making stops in several countries to help strengthen U.S. relations while promoting economic growth and food security. Yeah, what's up? Tactical news.
Are we broadcasting the LSU women's game today? LSU, this WWL.
Are we broadcasting the what day?
LSU Miami game.
We are not. I
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could check it.
No, there's no big deal.
On one of our other stations.
BT. Okay, I was just.
First time in 30 years. Yeah, I think we might have it there, but I'll double check. Another thing
No big deal.
in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, FAU knocked out Kansas State last night, 79-76. The final call on TBS. UConn's also headed to the Final Four for the first time in 9 years after beating. I think we're actually going to be fun. We'll do the automation and like CBS Sports Radio for the rest of the day after this, but we're covering both of the other elite games for the men are home tour today.
Yeah, gotcha. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along.
which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Thousands of Ukraine.
WWL First News. I'm Tom Karumian on your official weather station, WWL.
We're starting off our Sunday morning, mild and muggy. Rain chances remain in the forecast as we go through the morning and the afternoon hours. I do expect them to be scattered if downpours are possible, and the threat for stronger to severe thunderstorms remain over our North Shore parishes. Temperatures are expected to climb into the middle to upper 80s this afternoon and staying breezy.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan. New Orleans homicide investigators looking into the shooting death of a 22-year-old man in New Orleans East. The incident happened in Powder and North Bel Air streets just after 7 o'clock last night. Arriving officers found the victim suffering with a gunshot wound. EMS transported the man to a local hospital where he later died. Anyone with information to help solve this crime is asked to call Crime Stoppers. Election results are in from Saturday's voting across the state. WWL TV's Mike McDaniel takes a look at one local race.
Hey.
You just coming in?
Huh?
You just coming in?
Did what?
You just coming in?
Did I come in your room? Yeah. I just checking on you.
Are you sleeping it?
Yeah, but we had all kinds of problems. I have to go over the phone for some of this because the Comrex isn't work. The volume is very low.
Oh, why?
I don't know, they can't figure it out, so.
You're on the phone?
I mean, the microphone's going through the phone, but the other stuff's going through the Comrex. So this is like a train wreck because when we started, they had feedback, it was like going crazy. So we had the first 2 minutes was like, got it out.
I'm gonna get some coffee.
Okay, all right. But,
At least I am.
yeah, it's, I don't like, the phone's not as good quality, plus I can't hear Colin. I can't hear Colin. Like, he can talk to me and I don't hear a commercial. But like now, I can't. It's no big deal. No big deal. It's all a mess in here. I had to put the bag in the closet so I could, because I was getting feedback.
Find out which of those two teams will be going to Houston. Coverage starts at 12:30 on our sister station, Bet 92.9 FM, 1350 AM, or always live on the free ONC app. And LSU women's basketball continued their magic run in the NCAA tournament. The 3-seeded Tigers face off against 9-seeded Miami with a spot in the Final Four on the line tonight at 6 p.m. Charlie Long, WWL Sports. Now, your Garcia roofing forecast.
Again, no callers.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Tracking some showers moving through. Today's rain chances remain in the forecast, scattered in nature, and a few thunderstorms are expected to become strong, even severe over our North Shore parishes. Temperatures are expected to climb into the middle to upper 80s this afternoon and stay breezy. For local weather, the Forecast Center, I'm WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan.
And I'm Tom Karumian, WWL First News. From WWL, the news talk sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, It's all things legal with Sunseri and Albert Nicaud. Underwritten by Nicaud and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870, or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nicaud and Sunseri.
Hey, we're back. Hour number 2, Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. On till 10 o'clock today, on every Sunday from 8 to 10. And Albert, we were talking a little bit before the break about a Hurricane Ida issue. Now, we're about a year and a half past Hurricane Ida. A lot of the claims that are still open have some, continuing issues. And one of the continuing issues that we talked about is there's some insurance policies that provide that in order to recover, because I think this is a question. You have a lot of houses that have a lot of water saturation. You had a dry house, you had the hurricane, a lot of rooms and floors and areas that are heavily saturated, and the insurance company comes back and says, no, we do not cover this because the water did not get through storm created openings. And we were sort of talking about that before the break, and see if we could just elaborate a little bit on that particular issue and how to maybe for a homeowner to address them.
Well, again, the issue is, did the storm create the opening, or is there a lack of maintenance, or is lack of, some sort of defect in construction? And those are the types of things that the defense attorney or the insurance company and the plaintiff adjuster is going to look at when trying to defend the claim. That, hey, look, this is, we see you got water intrusion, but your windows aren't sealed. So you have, I'm dealing with that right now. The house in Bridgeport. They have a lot of windows that were built 100 years ago, and so they don't seal perfectly. They don't sit tight. They probably even rattle a little bit. The wood has lost some of its moisture over 100 years. So so there's going to be some water intrusion when you have 100-mile-an-hour direct driven rain. And so the argument is, hey, look, but for the storm, this water never would have penetrated through those cracks. Typical rain, it rains, hard once a week in New Orleans. So that's the argument you're going to have to make when you have those types of windows. But for instance, I got another one in a big, house in the Garden District, and it's the same type of argument that, hey, look, you're only missing one roof shingle or two roof shingles.
Right.
We didn't cause all this water damage inside. Well, where did it come from? Well, it's around the chimney, and the chimney, wasn't maintained right, et cetera, Well, it obviously withheld and withstood the water from rain to, rain after rain after rain, and it wasn't until the storm came that we had all these issues. So, those are some of the arguments you're going to have to make. And I mean, look, they're going to do what they can to try to get you to concede and even lower your demand some on the risk of, hey, look, you might lose this issue. So, and then when we negotiate back and forth, we evaluate the other side's position and say, hey, you know what, they really kind of have a point here. Let's give us this and we'll give you that. And there's a little horse trading that goes on. But at the end of the day, it is your responsibility as a homeowner. Make sure that your gutters are clean. Make sure that you don't have any openings. Seal the house from the elements. Whether to beat the insurance company or just to maintain your property in a proper fashion. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And now that we're getting into a lot more mediations and that sort of thing, that's being brought up a lot.
All right. Now I have a question. Let's go to text line. It's sort of along the same lines in a different context. The text says, "My house burned down the week before Thanksgiving, and we've only received one ALE payment for the first 3 months. We have not received any more, and we feel like we shouldn't have to beg the adjuster for our ALE money for insurance. What's the proper way to proceed to get our remaining additional living expense monies?" The adjusters said he releases it every 3 months. We have only received 3 months, the first 3 months. This is a tragedy, and we shouldn't have to beg for a benefit which is included in the policy.
Yeah, so the 3 month thing is an issue. If you submit, your expenses on a monthly basis, they have 30 days to pay. It's not just for dwelling payment, it's for all payments, any payment that's not disputed. And so, I think if you submit your receipts on a monthly basis, say, hey, look, I submitted this more than 30 days ago. There are penalties and attorney's fees associated if you don't pay it within 30 days. I don't care what your procedure is. Louisiana law says that you got to pay an undisputed claim within 30 days of submission of satisfactory proof of loss. So you've been paying me for the last however long based upon these submissions. So now you can't come along and say, hey, you didn't, submit satisfactory proof of loss. So at this point, I would just make my submissions every 30 days, and if they don't want to pay you, keep track of it, contact a lawyer, and the penalties end up being 50% of the amount claimed plus attorney's fees. And then I guess the question, and I know it's a tax, but have they paid them for the damages yet on the
Right.
fire damages? I don't know the answer to that. The person that texted is listening. I'd be curious to find out, because there's a process. See, things are a little different when there's a fire claim, because the insurance company is off the hook until the investigating agency certifies that there's no fire investigation or any arson investigation, and that any arson investigation is concluded. And so it might be up to you to get to the investigating, the fire marshal or if the fire department within the parish or city you're in, and get a report from them closing the arson file. So then that way they put the insurance company on the clock, send that to the insurance company, hey, look, the arson investigation is closed, therefore, we're ready to get paid. And if they don't want to come up with a claim summary or, get the amount of property damage evaluated, you need to get somebody in there to do that.
Yeah, and I think in the text it said we should not have to beg for our ALE, but in essence, what you do have to do is be very proactive in the sense of presenting in a way where you're going to assume they're not going to pay you until you make the right presentation.
Put it in writing. Make sure it's an email. You have it. You're writing for the courts at this point. Hey, look, I sent this to you. You have a duty to do this. You have 30 days to pay me. This is satisfactory proof of loss. All of these things, and include that in your email demand along with your attachments, and that way you have a written record of the amount of times that you made claim for what is rightfully yours. I mean, you're paying this adjuster's salary with your premiums.
I have another text, and it said Morris Bart has started to advertise about McClendley, Mosley and Associates. He's advertising on TV that the attorneys at McClendley, Mosley and Associates has had its license suspended. Much of the staff in New Orleans claims it is self-employed. Has there been an administrator appointed to oversee the insured's interest in the McClendley, Mosley and Associates cases? And if you're insured by them or you retain them, what should you do?
Well, at this point, I would start searching for another attorney, because now all of a sudden you're effectively not represented. And I talked with another attorney about perhaps getting together and doing a against the Bar Association's clear model rules. And so, at this point, if I was represented by McClain Mosley, I would be getting a different attorney as quickly as I could. Because he filed over 1,000 lawsuits, so now you're in litigation. And so the only way to kind of get unfrozen from that, I think, is to move on and get a different attorney to come, take your claim over, see where it stands, get the records either from the attorney or from the insurance company, and move forward with a claim, based upon the allegations that are in that petition. The problem you're going to run into if you have a roof issue is that, this roofing company has also been implicated in this as well. And so from a cross-examination standpoint, if I'm an attorney defending the case, I'm going to be hammering that roofing company pretty hard for its unethical tactics. So, based on all that, I think the easy answer is find someone else to represent you. Now, some may be reluctant to do so because, they may have to split some of the fee with that firm, the work that the firm's already done. But, at this point, I got to think that the courts are going to somehow get involved and reduce their fee, the McClain's fee, substantially based upon non-representational lack of authority to represent. And so, anyway, that's just my opinion.
And a final question. Just talk about a little bit about the deadline for preserving a Hurricane Ida claim. What do you need to do? And if you don't, or if a claims adjuster, you get to that deadline, a claims adjuster says, well, we'll keep negotiating. Don't worry about the deadline. How should you handle that? Well, let's start about the deadline. And then if the insurance company is saying,
deadline is 2 years from the date of the storm, the day of the occurrence. And so you have a 2-year window to file a lawsuit, not to file a claim, not to have the adjuster say, oh yeah, don't worry about it. You have to file a lawsuit within 2 years, basically by August 29th of this year. So, you're a little around 6 months away. So, and look, don't wait. Because what's going to happen is, it's been a year and a half, right? So you've been strung along for a year and a half and you haven't been paid. And so at this point, it's probably best to hire an attorney now, get a lawsuit filed now, because, the adjuster hasn't really helped you in a year and a half. And so when that lawsuit is filed, that file is going to be transferred to a litigation adjuster and to a lawyer. And it's going to be in either a state court with a case management order where they're going to move these things quickly, or it's going to be a federal court which has the same type of process where, hey, look, we're going to get these to a mediation quickly, we're going to get these moving and get people their money and get their lives back. And so the quicker you get into that system by filing a lawsuit, the better. I got a call the other day, about, well, we don't want to hire a lawyer, we don't want to pay a percentage of this and that. But let me tell you, once we review your file, dig into the little nooks and crannies of what was done and what wasn't done, but perhaps even reevaluate the damages. We'll typically make up for whatever fees we charge by increasing the amount of your claim substantially. And if there are penalties and attorney's fees that awarded by the court or that are justified in the claim, it's a 50% penalty plus attorney's fees. So then your attorney's fees would in fact be covered. So I think at this point you don't want to wait till August to do it, because some law firms won't even take it. They don't want to run the risk of not having to file it timely. So I think you probably should get moving and my advice to everybody at this point.
Also, too, I just got a text. It said McClendley and Mosley and Associates, it's just not roofing. She said, I was bait and switched. I called the public adjuster that was advertised, and he signed me up with McClendley Mosley. And
Yeah, they had public adjusters working for them and roofers.
yeah, and again, I've related the story. Somebody came in a couple of weeks ago, and it's, they didn't know they'd signed up with a public adjuster, and then they all of a sudden there's a mediation, which they were not aware of, or that, and they were being represented by the law firm, and they basically said, we're going to settle your whole claim. We have, we're going to settle for 65,000, and you'll come out with 32. And he was, he basically asked what to do, and I told him to go back. I said, well, what's your bottom line number? I said, you tell them that you need to put this in your pocket. You didn't consult, or you can start the process all over again. But that is another issue that occurred. If you're with this in that situation, would your advice be the same as far as trying to preserve your claim?
Well, I mean, one of the problems is, these public adjusters are going to hit you up for 10% of your claim on a contingency, which, a lot of them, it's a violation of Louisiana law for them to work off a contingency on a percentage and then try to negotiate your claim. That's the unauthorized practice of law. So if they're doing that, then that's a real problem. So they're going to take 10% of not just your claim, but 10% of what they write. So if you only end up with 60,000, but they wrote you up for 100,000, their fee's 10,000. And then the lawyer, that law firm is charging 35% of your claim. So at the end of the day, you're going to pay a minimum of 45% plus expenses and whatever other difference you may end up having to pay to the public adjusting firm. So it's a real trick bag. People were just desperate to get their property back and went ahead and signed a lot of these documents and contracts somewhat under duress and didn't quite understand the ramifications of it. So, again, I always say hire local, hire a lawyer. You can walk down the street, or drive down the street and say, hey, what's going on with my claim? I need to talk to a live body. And it's a shame that so many people got caught up in the advertising of it.
Yeah.
I know we need to take a break.
Yeah.
I got a text from our engineer, and so we need to take a break, and we have a call on the line after that.
All right, so we'll be right back on All Things Legal right after this brief time out.
WWL, home of your Saints and LSU, always live on the free Odyssey app. Oh, spring. The daylight is back.
Hey, Colin, do we have anybody on the line?
Yard-working bugs.
All right, so we have Wayne from Metairie on the line who has some concerns with his in-laws and a house and like the succession, not corporate law or anything like that. There's a house that's abandoned almost, and he wants to know, after giving some advice by a different lawyer, about doing some things to that house to make sure that it doesn't count as being abandoned, so that
Okay.
the insurance can't be covered.
Okay, gotcha.
Tucker, right now, all customers, and again, it's Wayne, he's calling from Destrehan, but the house is in Metairie.
Oh, is it Lane or Wayne? It's Wayne?
Wayne, W-A-Y-N.
All right.
It was slam dunk, and with cash out, and again, because we have a caller, I'm going to put both of you on the same phone.
Yeah.
And I'll put you on the
Okay.
sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook. And when we have a moment after the call, I'll do a little dance, try to get you guys back on separate lines.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'll find the exact one so that you guys can
21 plus and present in Louisiana, permitted parishes only. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus bet $25 per day unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. Every time you pull up to your home, you notice it. Your neighbors probably notice it too. Your
pay someone else every few years to paint? That makes no sense. The solution? Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary permanent ceramic coating that comes with a 25-year warranty. Bottom line, with Rhino Shield, you'll never have to paint your home again. Guaranteed. It's perfect for wood, brick, stucco, vinyl, and steel. And unlike vinyl, it won't mold or mildew. Rhino Shield. It's more affordable than you think. Call Rhino Shield Mid-South and never paint your home again. For your free, no-obligation estimate, call 504-407-2222. And if you're one of the first 10 callers right now, you'll save 10%. 504-407-2222. That's 504-407-2222. Or go to rhinoshieldmidsouth.com. That's rhinoshieldmidsouth.com.
Voila! You've fallen in love. Now, mon ami, it's time to go diamond hunting. The first thing you're going to be introduced to is the 4 C's. Cut, color, clarity, and carat. But at Open Heart, there's also customization, craftsmanship, conscience, and cost. Here, you'll discover that custom made can actually cost you less. Why? Because we buy direct. Ta-ta, middleman. Oh, but wow. There's a great work of art in every box from Open Heart on Metairie Road. Nick Cat here with APS. Home Protection Services. Protect your business with Smart Business Security by APS. Track your business 24/7 with alerts of unusual activity or doors left open. Integrate with other devices like lighting and cameras that will flash and send a warning to unwelcome guests. Manage multiple locations using real-time management and live schedules with live and recorded video. Keep your business safe with APS. Visit securitybyAPS.com or call 504-455-5277.
Hey, Slidell, we want your stuff. Dependable storage now open.
The following conversation brought to you by OmegaTaxCredits.com.
I thought I couldn't get the employee retention credit if I got the PPP loan.
Nope.
I thought it was really difficult to apply for the ERC.
Not if you use Omega Accounting Solutions. See, Omega has been around for more than 15 years. They are an established firm with extensive experience handling tax credits and will build a fiduciary relationship with you and your business.
Well, I'm sure it takes forever to find out if you qualify, though, right?
Again, no. If you call 800-704-2000, you can find out in under 10 minutes.
I make a call that takes less than 10 minutes, and I can find out if my company is eligible to receive a tax credit of up to $26,000 per employee.
Yes, based on how your small business was impacted by government mandates or lost revenue during the COVID crisis.
Call Omega Accounting at 800-704-2000 and in 10 minutes, find out if your company qualifies for an employee retention credit of up to $26,000 per employee. Call 800-704-2000. That's 800-704-2000.
All things legal with Sunseri and Albert Nicaud on WWL and Odyssey Station. Connect now on the Open Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, you Awaken Lawyers. Thanks to Colin back at Studio Control. Also the official correspondent, Gen Z correspondent for all things legal. So appreciate Colin. Let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Wayne. He's got a question regarding succession in his in-laws, or better known as his outlaws. What do you got, Wayne?
I didn't say that.
I said it for you. So I'm covering you, brother.
Okay, well, here's the deal. My father-in-law passed away in September. My wife's in the middle of handling the succession. The attorney the other day sent a letter saying we need to make the selling of the house a priority because since no one's living there, should there be a catastrophic event, that the insurance would not cover it since nobody's living there. I mean, the only thing I saw in the policy about abandonment is about a 60-day thing about vandalism or something like that. We called the insurance company and talked to, I guess, the agent's assistant. And she said that since y'all checking on it regularly, it's not really considered abandoned. I was just wanting to get a second opinion, or if there's something we can do to make sure we're covered. I guess what we're going to get it in writing.
So typically what they'll do is they'll give you about 6 months after somebody passes away to, advice. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there something I could get from the insurance company, maybe? They did put something in writing. They have talked to, your assistant and said it wasn't an issue. Okay. With that, when I was, look, email is a right, so I mean, if you get the email, the email address and send that to me, in writing, and then that person will, hey, look, we're okay, we'll put it up for sale. You're good to go. Now, I don't know when the policy renews, and so there may be a form to fill out when that happens, and then you have to, under the penalty of perjury, sign something, or your wife sign something that says the house is being occupied, and whatever. And so, I would try to do what I could to get it sold before the renewal date.
Well, and you also want to get you want to get it sold just for pragmatic purposes. I mean, you're incurring utilities, you're incurring property taxes, and that money is going to be gone. And so,
we kind of drag our feet on it a little bit, and then we try to see if I get insurance on it, and that's a whole nother subject to talk about.
yeah, and I mean also too.
I've had to send a letter to my tenants, saying, guys, this is a zero-sum game for me, but I got to raise your rent just to cover the increase in the property insurance that that we have to do. I mean, they're not happy about it. My wife's saying, my wife's actually named insured on a policy, and they're like, you were living there, you could just, renew it, and the cost would be whatever, it's like $3,400. But you see, you may have to do with that as well, because she's not living, first of all, so it's not a homeowner's policy. And in your parents' names, or her parents' names, I'm sorry, if the home is in her parents' names, then there's an issue with coverage. If it's one of the parents earlier, and then it got transferred to the two daughters as well as the surviving parent. That's correct. The mom passed away in February, and then the dad in September of last year, so they're both gone. So that property would be the policy would be in your wife's name, because they're assuming that the property is in both the parents' names, and so you have to do it under the policy. I don't know that she had an insurable interest prior to their death, so you need to go look into that too. So I think the best thing to do is sell it. Right. Yeah, I know that's funny. The policy has my wife listed as the policy holder. I'm like, did your dad did this? And she's like, no. I didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's a basic concept that abandoned property in a succession will have nothing good can happen from that if it's left unattended. You just got to sell it. All right, thanks for the call. All right, let's go to break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
Hello, I'm David Figueroa, co-founder of Melinda's Craft Pepper Sauces. Over 30 years ago, my brother Greg and I set out on a mission to offer the world better hot sauce. We thought that most hot sauces were just basic. And let's face it, basic is boring. Since introducing Melinda's original habanero pepper sauce, we've launched 31 more exciting and delicious sauces, like our ghost pepper sauce, our Thai sweet chili, and our newest and best-selling black truffle hot sauce. People ask us, what makes Melinda so good? Well, we think it's our approach to making sauces. We think like chefs do. Instead of just burning someone with hot peppers and vinegar, we use fresh plant-based ingredients like carrots, onions, garlic, lime, and finest chili peppers to set your mouth on flavor. They're really fantastic. And once you try one, you'll want to try them all. We'd love for you to try them. And right now, you can get a 10-pack of our best-selling sauces free shipping at MELINDAS.com. Melendez.com.
Take your shot during BetMGM's March matchups and instantly receive $200 in bonus bets. Simply sign up using the bonus code MikeD200 and place a $10 bet on any college basketball tournament game. Win or lose, and $200 in bonus bets will be added to your account right away. Plus, you'll discover a wide variety of parlay selection features, daily boosted odds specials, and much more. Download the BetMGM app today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly and offer resources to help you make appropriate choices. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions.
21 years of age or over to wager. Louisiana only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with Sam's Town Shreveport Casino.
Hi, Joel Myers from my friends at the Gail Benson Automotive family of dealerships. Cadillac of New Orleans and Veteran. Best Chevrolet in Kenner. Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans on Veterans Boulevard. And the new Mercedes-Benz Spreader Van Center across from the Caesar Superdome. For over 65 years, the dedicated people of Benson Automotive have quietly gone about the task of making their dealerships Louisiana's finest and continuing a proud legacy of service to the New Orleans community. At each Benson dealership, you can be assured you'll always get our very best price, whether buying a new or pre-owned vehicle. A service department staffed with seasoned professionals to keep you and your vehicle on the go. And of course, an enjoyable, no-hassle buying experience. It's what keeps Benson customers coming back time after time. To Cadillac of New Orleans, Best Chevrolet, Mercedes-Benz of New Orleans, and the new Mercedes-Benz Spreader Van Center. Each proud members of the Gail Benson Automotive family of dealerships.
A business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes no sense, literally. Focus on what you do well, like growing your business. Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, this is Thomas Fontaine. Accounting Services Unlimited is insanely affordable and will come to you. Go for a free quote. Accounting Services Unlimited, 504-717-6253. That's 717-6253. Or visit us at asu-llc.com.
Hello, I'm David Figueroa, co-founder of Melendez Craft Pepper Sauces. Over 30 years ago, my brother Greg and I set out on a mission to offer the world a better hot sauce. We felt that most hot sauces were just basic, and let's face it, basic is boring. Since introducing Melendez Original Habanero Pepper Sauce, we've launched 31 more exciting and delicious sauces. The Carco's Pepper Sauce, our Thai Sweet Chili, and our newest and best-selling Black Truffle Hot Sauce. People ask us, what makes Melendez so good? Well, we think it's our approach to making sauces. We think like chefs do. Instead of just burning someone with hot peppers and vinegar, we use fresh plant-based ingredients like carrots, onions, garlic, lime, and the finest chili peppers to set your mouth on flavor. They're really fantastic. Once you try one, you'll want to try them all. We'd love for you to try them. Right now, you can get a 10-pack of our best-selling sauces free shipping at Melendez.com. That's MELINDAS.com. Melendez.com.
Baseball is back. The free Odyssey app lets you listen to local coverage from the team you love. Live stream your favorite sports radio station, or jump back and listen to the best segments on demand.
Don't forget we talk to the manager every Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Don't listen to some guy from the other side of the country tell you about your team. Live conversations for your local team. No matter where you are, your season, your Odyssey. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today.
All things legal on WWL. Consult with Nico and Sunseri now on the Open Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line. 504-260-1870. And don't forget to rewind on the Odyssey app.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Albert, we had the last caller talking about selling succession property. And one thing you may want to talk about is if you have a will and if you have a provision for independent administration, how does that affect the ability to sell succession property with or without court approval, and why does it help facilitate that?
Well, I mean, pretty much when we were, we were in law school. Shortly thereafter, but basically it allows for independent administration of the state. And so all of these, a lot of state planning attorneys and these out-of-state companies you see on TV talk about how expensive probate is and avoid probate, et cetera. This makes probate so much less expensive because what it allows is the independent administrator of the state to sell property without consent of the courts. And so that person can act just as if the decedent was still alive. They can sign a listing agreement, they can go to a closing, they can negotiate a sale on behalf of the estate. Of course, it all needs to be done on a fiduciary basis and in the best interest of the succession. And there will be an accounting that the succession administrator will have to perform. But at the end of the day, it makes life so much easier. So if the gentleman that called a few minutes ago, if his wife is the independent executrix of the estate, she can, put it up for sale by owner and go show it whenever she wants, or she can hire a real estate agent to go and show the property and sign the listing agreement, sign the act of sale, sign all the documents that are necessary to place to effectuate the sale, and then it converts that asset to cash through the succession, and then it's easy to distribute down the road. You're not in business with your sister owning a piece of property together. Who's going to pay this? Who's going to do that? Who's going to maintain it? All that sort of thing. So it makes for a real ease of administration and much less expense in terms of probating the will, probating or handling the succession.
All right. Got a text. It said, "Good morning. I received a letter from an attorney in Canada. It is titled Business Proposal and an Unclaimed Payable Upon Death Savings Monetary Deposit for a client that has the same last name. Do you think this is a scam?"
Well, I would first of all look up the attorney, right? I would look at the letter, look up the letter, look up the claim, and maybe give the attorney a call at whatever number is listed. But I would be very reluctant to, give any personal information, any account information, any of that sort of thing to the attorney until I was absolutely convinced that, this attorney was legit. There's a Louisiana State Bar Association website, and there's an attorney lookup link where you can type in that attorney's name and address and see if they are, in fact, listed with the Bar Association as an active attorney. Check the phone number, check the address, go to their website, and do a little research to determine whether or not this is in fact a scam, or whether there's some sort of policy or we get things like that all the time. Some sent to us, hey, look, I had to go look somebody up. He actually was in prison somewhere, I think in Kansas, and we had to look him up and find him and let him know that his long lost great uncle died because he was one of the heirs, and one of the other heirs advised us of his incarceration, and so he ended up getting a decent little chunk of change because so it happens. So don't knee-jerk it, think it's automatically a scam, but I would thoroughly check it out and confirm it's legit.
My axiom is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So just go in there with that.
Okay. It looks good, check it out. And the worst they can do is, you find out it is a scam.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you what, let's go to our final break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
WWL, home of St. Legends, Bobby Aver and Deuce McAllister. All marketing spokesperson, Jen Dudley, New Orleans.
Bonjour, mes amis. Looking for the perfect gift? There's no better way to say I love you than with a pair of diamond stud earrings from Open Heart Jewelers. Let me read you this online review from Kristen. I purchased this absolutely beautiful pair of diamond stud earrings today at Open Heart. They treated me like a superstar. The thing is, the diamond stud earrings that come in a box from Open Heart, they're each a true work of art. An Oakland family member personally searches through hundreds of diamonds and chooses only those with the most fire and brilliance. Don't think for a minute that all diamonds are alike. Ours really sparkle, and you don't need a loupe to see the difference. Plus, we buy direct, so we bring you the best for less. And no matter how much you want to spend, we have a huge selection of diamond studs to choose from. In every price range, second to none. Big magnificent. There's a great work of art in every box from Open Heart on Meadowy Road.
Every time you pull up to your home, you notice it. Your neighbors probably notice it too. Your paint is chipping, peeling, fading. You gonna paint your home yourself? I don't think so. Gonna pay someone else every few years to paint? That makes no sense. The solution? Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary permanent ceramic coating that comes with a 25-year warranty. Bottom line, with Rhino Shield, you'll never have to paint your home again. Guaranteed. It's perfect for wood, brick, stucco, vinyl, and steel. And unlike vinyl, it won't mold or mildew. Rhino Shield. It's more affordable than you think. Call Rhino Shield Mid-South and never paint your home again. For your free, no-obligation estimate, call 504-407-22.
Okay, I'm patching both of you back into the
Yeah.
same input on the board again. We do have a caller who will facilitate it. We did cover, I think, our break a little
Early.
early.
Yeah.
12, like 6 to 7 minutes. I think we should take the call.
Yeah, which,
Raymond from St. Bernard Parish, who recently had a roofing issue, to pay for the materials, to pay
Okay.
for the roofer to come out to the roof. The job so badly now that insurance won't cover it and wants to know what's wrong.
okay, that's good. Yeah, tell Raven we'll take it. I'm glad we got a lot of time.
I already prefaced that we're a little up against the clock. but
Okay.
We honestly have way too much time.
Okay, good, good. That's perfect.
Like 5 or 6 minutes.
Perfect, perfect. All right. All right, perfect.
LA 121-12674, offices in Baton Rouge. Monthly subscription, now available. RejuveneMedical.com.
Hi, Sarah. I'm sorry I'm late. The traffic is crazy. Yes. And it doesn't help that gas prices have skyrocketed. I can't believe how much it costs for gas now. Everyone's talking about how much gas it is, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app, and I get cash back for every gallon.
So yeah, we are done with this break in about 40 seconds. I'll just do music, no rejoin. You can take it away whenever you hear the music.
Okay.
And again, this is Raymond from St. Bernard Parish.
Gotcha.
He's wondering what his options are following messed up roofing job.
All right, gotcha.
I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code CAR57 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account through PayPal or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CAR57 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code CAR57 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill up. Tax eligible gas in your fuel company.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nicaud, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. You know, that was from the Rocky movie in 1975. The first one that deleted. Yes. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Raymond in the parish. Hey, Raymond, you know all things legal. What's up, brother?
How you doing? I recently hired a crew, roofers, that my doctor recommended to me. Said it was a really good crew, and I paid for all the materials. It came out, ripped it off, put it back on. Now my insurance company is going to cancel the insurance because I looked at the roof. I know what's going on, and it's a totally botched job. And the insurance is sending the pictures saying, "Oh no, we can't cover that." Because you know, it's a roof, got all the new doors, I put the new roof on,
You can find them if you need a referral. We can do that. Have that person go out there, write up a report, let them know what needs to be redone. I would go ahead and then get a price to do that, and then get a hold of this roofer and say, look, this is what needs to be done. We need to, we need to get our money back because you botched it.
I didn't pay them. But when I see the job, it's corresponded over this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I didn't pay them. It's totally unacceptable.
Yeah, well, I know, but you paid for everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you need to find out what needs to be done, and it's all about the expert, right? So you want to make sure you get somebody who is licensed, who's been and who's local, right? Also, with this roofing company, go back and take a look. You can go to the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors website, and it's going to say find a contractor. Click on it, see if the company that did your work is licensed. And if they're not, then they're going to have a real problem trying to collect their money because they violated Louisiana law by not being licensed. They have no lien rights. They can't lien the property for any alleged work that they did. So I would go get another roofer, get them, look, it may just be a major repair and not a complete removal or replacement.
It's the whole roof has to come off.
Okay, all right, well, here's another suggestion.
I'll put it with the car. Look at it. My thing with the pictures would understand what I'm telling you.
All right, so look, here's my suggestion. We're going to have a bigger segment on this topic in a future show. There's something called a fortified home and a fortified roof. Find a roofer that will do a fortified roof. It involves a lot of extra steps, maybe an extra couple of $3,000, but it will save you up to 25% on your homeowner's portion of your policy, or property portion of your homeowner policy. It involves, and I'll go into it and see if you can, now if you got to tear it off and start over, I would do, you really save yourself some money with your insurance company. Okay? All right, but yeah, that's the thing to do. It's all experts at this point. So you need to find somebody who's qualified, local, and licensed, and get a report from them as to why everything is bad and why it needs to totally come off and start over. And then,
they have two seams on the metal drip edge when it comes to 10-foot sticks. Yeah, that's it.
Right. Well, yeah. Right. So just, you're going to just need somebody with some expertise to say that in case it gets to the next level. You got to go, justify it in court. All right. But look, we got just a short period of time left. Got to end of the program. But thank you for the call. If you need a referral, you can give us a call at the office at 504-837-1304, and we can let you know what good roofers to hire.
Yeah, and the moral, you're better off when trusting your roof as the crown of your house. If it's not built right, it's going to mess up the rest of your house. Get a licensed roofer who can be accountable. Probably is the best advice. And local. Local and licensed. There you go. All right, we've got a little less than a minute to go. Albert, anything? Any send off?
Lady Tigers today. It's great season.
Yeah, you guys lost track of the time a little bit.
Again?
Yeah.
Doug, I thought you had it. And then he said, "Oh, we got a little less than a minute to go." And I was like, "Oh no."
No, I didn't hear it. I didn't get the music over, but
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt because I thought you had a little go on it. And I was like, yes, he knows that there's like 10 to 20 seconds.
no, that's all right. Just give me a countdown. Well, we're on the phone, yeah, but no big deal.
Yeah, that's on me. I didn't feel the need to give you a countdown because I thought you had it. But once we said a minute left, I was like, oh man, I should help.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're not going to be in that room.
No, I'll be back home. I'll be back home. But we'll